It is 10:40 a.m. March 2nd, 2019. What a video real quick. Of course, I just woke up. A lot of things happened dream-wise. Now I'm going through court in my dream. It was weird because there's a lot of depression and outrage from another party and something being talked about extradition. And there's other things being talked about Sandusky, which is Sandusky, Ohio, which I had court situation for open container or public intoxication 7 years ago, 7.5 years ago, something like that, roughly. Anyways, that's a whole nother county, but that wasn't even a part of the court case for myself. I forget why I was even there. I think it was just a small, it was feeling like a small violation. While they put me through the courts, someone was talking about my ID and my age being different in the records or some ships like that, all this other stuff. Now, I was in a phone call with my own mom. Not that I can say that that's proper. I keep allowing everyone to know about toxic family relationships, and that she's been pointed out as being one of the toxic ones, very toxic. How do you break it off type of situation when you can't break it off because everybody's enforcing that you need mom, you need this, you need to stay in contact or we'll attack you harder. Basically like organized crime, mob shit, but it's way hard to explain. It was so hard for me to explain because stuff in Colorado Springs decades ago happened, and they pointed my mom out as being basically the suspect. Also tied into the organized crime, at least the organizational community shit. And she's not a hardcore person to a point, but other things were associated with the ones that are there. Organized crime from here in Columbus, Ohio. Literally, them relating shit from Columbus, Ohio, being out in Colorado Springs, controlling shit. Why do you got people from Columbus, Ohio, out in Colorado Springs in the community controlling shit? The factors adding up. I have someone talking when I wake up. It seems like Thomas Stuckman, and basically utilizing some type of enforced, where I keep saying him and Janara Torres keep utilizing that they're undercover law enforcement of some sorts. They have since frickin' May of 2011, when I was assaulted back then. I talked to psychologists about it, and they've always been just fucked up, just like the rest of the neighbors. Homosexual connected, both are homosexual, supposed to be spouse, all the good stuff. Homosexual organized crime is the way I'm going to pit it. Homosexual organized is for sure, because in New York City, 2015, that was talked about, and on top, a lot of shit stopped. A lot of stuff stopped, and that stopping means a whole system worth of work stopped. We're talking about not even organized like what you'd think organized crime, running the street. We're talking about systematic assault where they had homosexuals and every last business, everything, just inflaming shit. That's our gay rights, and they was doing that for years. Shit. Since almost probably ever since 2005 to 2015, each incursion that I went out there. But I would say it escalated around in 2007, 2008, and just non-stop. Homosexuals, bisexuals, transgenders, a lot. And with attitude, alteration of each business that they was in, restaurant, working or whatever, altering the atmosphere, enforcing something that they shouldn't have been. Well, all that shit, let's just get over it and show, am I positive? I'm 100% positive. 2015, somebody shut that show the fuck down on them, I guess. They kept trying to fight and struggle to get to gain power. Why the hell are you fighting to try to intervene, or not even, the word's not intervene, but to be put in a position to be in contact with you? Fighting. Doesn't anybody see that as being ill themselves? You want to point out incompetency, inability socially, and all the rest, and wrongs, because there is people that pointed it out as being wrong, even years and years and years and years ago. But 2015 was a good year, because more that year strangers stepped up and started pointing out a lot of shit. To a point. I mean, I guess it kind of always happened. New York City's thing of see something, say something, and reporting things that they've seen. But I would have to say 2005 would have been another situation which got messed up for me. I was put into a victim system. They give you a number, and if you lose that number, you don't have access to your case anymore. Not even the police would be able to pull it up. Nothing. It's a security victim system. Well, of course, I lost the number. I was hiking around, traveling, and basically that'd be homeless. And I lost the number for a dude stalking me. And everybody else seen that they was stalking, and they was from out of state. I don't have that person's information because I don't have the number. And to say all the stalking, that person moved right across the street from me, associated with all the other people. Carl Newman, Roots Records, entertainment business one minute, law enforcement the next. Complete dirty ass corrupted government system. These guys have access, and they're trying to do whatever they can to gain access to whatever they can. And not even just access of accessing a business or working. We're talking paperwork, trails, everything else, and then trying to threaten me with everything that they got. And they've been doing that. Just even 2005 situation, even before. Revenge attacks because they've gotten caught, or the people that they've recruited has gotten caught, and they've either went to prison, or they've gotten severely scolded, or just caught the situation that it would be understood something else is going on and the police could get involved, like in Colorado Springs, and be able to take care of that. But right now I'm thinking, and I'm hearing something sounds like it ain't a pop cap, it's just a click sound. And it's a certain type, this decibel, where the mind's reacting. They're in here playing around with Gennaro Torres and Thomas Stuckman, law enforcement shit. They're associated, and their shit was told in New York City. They basically contaminated and poisoned me. I go in and I say poison because anything put in food or intentionally put into food makes you sick was poison. That's not the truth. There is a difference between poisoning and contaminating. Anyways, intentionally just outright punking the fuck out of me. Utilizing homosexual stature to do so. Basically homosexual, we're playing gay rights, it's okay. But it's so organized, and the tactics that's been utilized, multitudes of people, for me, turned it into homosexual organized crime. And I was talking about it and dubbing that because and you look up homosexual organized crime Chicago, you'll see Chicago gay gangs. If they're associated, which I do believe they are, not just from Chicago, but elsewhere, that's homosexual organized crime anyways. My situation is when they're homosexually organized, mass groups of it, and massively utilizing the homosexual backing, and then they commit crimes, corruption, and everything else, intentionally, while basically it's like moshing with the homosexual organizational stuff, that turns into homosexual organized crime. Anyways, so they're utilizing psychological techniques that they shouldn't be. I was told that more or less, providing enough evidence, their shit would get thrown in the trash for whatever they're investigating, because they fucked up right away. They messed up in May of 2011. Oh, well, you didn't say nothing, you didn't do this, we know how the system works, don't even try to fuck with us. Really? Are you threatening me not to fuck with you, or you're gonna make something harder on me? Which you already have. Threats, intimidation, communal, disgracing to the point of not having a life, communal intimidation and lifeful threat. They're in here we'll recruit people, just like the other shit that I accuse, recruit people like local gangsters to go ahead and fuck with you, and we'll utilize it as an investigation technique. So, with that being said, snob remarks, snobbed ass this. Not even just snobbed, but someone trying to ridicule, and always ridiculing, I don't pit things right. It's okay to snob. Well, okay, we'll get into that later. FBI directors and personnel, pit it that way. New York City, New York is the way I'll pit it. Say kind of different. Now, that would make me incompetent, and they know it, causing mental mind psychological injury. And then, like in the dream, the court case, I'll test to see if you're competent enough to stand trial. You won't even take me to trial. I won't even be bragging about it. I already heard from FBI that your shit could go in the fucking trash. You are trash. And connecting your homosexuality to the homosexual assaults that's happened on myself, I've asked to have somebody else reanalyze the case, especially since May of 2011. That would be a forfeiture of their rights to even investigate any farther, and they should, understanding that they have committed a crime or they have committed something that would cease their case, should have already basically produced that evidence and quit producing a case, quit investigating themselves. It's possible that if I am under investigation, which I'm almost sure that I am in certain senses, because there's a bunch of other sabotage shit that's happened where it's no different than the 70s, somebody getting messed up to where murder's blamed on them, rape, arson, whatever it be, and boom, it's them. We're going to put the evidence this way. And even to the point, which there's another video like Staten Island, of implanting evidence or something that's similar. Like I bought a pair of socks when I first got out to New York City, Asics, talking about being stalked. There is a boat arson fire. I was camped out. There's a boat arson fire fucking less than a couple of football fields away from my camp, put it that way. And it's a place I would say occasionally I would walk through, but I knew where the boat was. I had just walked up to the boat a day prior and filmed it. Well, I found it, I walked back, I had cameras, I filmed it. The next day it burned up. If not that night, it burned. Matter of fact, it had the morning, I think it was the morning, I might be off, it may have been still the next day, but I think it was basically in the morning I filmed the boat, and by that night, it was already set on fire. They had evidence of me being downtown, I guess, in one situation, while somebody else was trying to play no we don't, and blaming me with the fire. And I was downtown at the time because I called 911 the next day after recording it, or while recording it, and told them there's been a fire down here. And I wanted to make sure it's not ongoing, it's already put out. 911 done said they've been dispatched. That happened last night at this time and this time. And at that time I was on a boat, ferry boat, going back over across. Matter of fact, it was way after that because it was dark already. So I was hours after on a ferry boat going back across the bay to Staten Island. The people connected to Staten Island, guess which ones this are? Carl Newman, Heather Newman, the whole associated group, which are people that own a shop right across the street, and I'll explain how that works. Is a shop, an industrial, it's not a residential building, pretty huge. Used to be an auto body shop, which isn't anymore. Of course, it's been that way since 2006, since Carl Newman has had his reigns over there. And in 2006, they already started crap over there also. No different than the stuff that happened in New York City, New York, where the gentleman was stalking me. And that same gentleman being connected and moved right in across the street from me. Could you imagine not being able to represent that because you've lost your victim ID number? But anyways. So, with that being said, connected, what was I going to say with that? It's connected with the peoples over at Carl Newman's place. trying to sabotage. It was said before I went to New York City, sitting right here, there is mumbles and shit of the boat fire. We know how to fuck with you. Same thing with Washington, D.C. I got contaminated. I came back with some type of bacterial infection. There's bacterial infections caused here in Columbus at a church that they make and deliver the sandwiches to, for the homeless people or people who go to it's a sandwich line. They go up to the soup kitchen if they wanted to. And you don't have to be homeless, but most of them's per se homeless. But for myself, either homeless, low income, or just going back over top of getting involved with being homeless, checking up. But back then I had no choice because there's other things that facility was involved with myself. I was on SSI, still am. And at first they put us on a payroll-y where you had to have someone control your money. Well, some things went sour with the first payee I had. When it put in the papers at the SSA, it got all mixed up, so they made a decision for me, and they went with another company. And I was like, no, I want to go with this company. And this is prior to me knowing that Carl Newman completely worked for that place. But anyways, so I was like, I put in paperwork again. All of a sudden, walked it up this time, had everything stamped in my face, that way nothing could get lost or stolen, is the way I felt, because there's so much intervention. Well, the people who is more than likely helping me out, or as a good decision, for the other company was in the right, and I screwed myself royally. This church treated me mentally retarded, like they had the access to my funds, like I was a mental retard, and I wasn't ever going to get them. All kinds of nasty shit happened. Anyhow, I transferred my case. I finally went after 3 months of their bullshit. I transferred my case to the other payee, which was exceptionally sweet. Everything that I pre-planned, finally, with what I had left, because I also had a lump sum payment, went through. I was allowed to spend my money exactly on the spreadsheets, the drawed out shit, everything. That was good. That was a cool ass deal for myself. It seems the church that Carl Newman's associated with thought that was stupid. It doesn't work that way. No. Being scolded like a retard. The same shit that happens day after day after day after day. Somebody running a community. The same thing with the guy that lived across the street that was connected to Carl Newman. Shaking hands. Tuxedos and all kinds of different shit. Higher quality clothes. Trying to act. Entertainment business type of situation. Entertaining themselves off of me. Anyways. The same shit. The stalking guy and the rest, and that's since 2000 and shit, what was that, 2012, 2013 era. Anyways, day after day doing just scolding, ridiculing, trying to put me in my place, tell me that I don't have a right to life. And this is, now when you get into stalking, just to make it that understand, that's United States wide, not just inner city Columbus, Ohio. You have a New York City, New York incident, and an individual now being in Columbus, Ohio. With that being said, also pertaining to law enforcement, they have utilized, and I've watched them in connection with law enforcement around at their parties, at this, that, as if they built their entertainment company like an undercover FBI sting ring or something as such, and abusing, though, the systematical powers. And people's like, you have to prove it. Just like Colorado Springs and elsewhere, abuse of power has been proven. And it finally was proven. It was proven after also being proven to the people trying to cover it up. And all of these guys are associated with those problems from Colorado Springs also. Regulating life that, hey, this is the way you are in Colorado Springs and this is how we're going to tell you to live. You'll obey us or you'll get hurt, and you know what can happen to you. So, with that being said, remember the connections that was proven also from Columbus, Ohio, and other community members and people involved being victims of the system I'm being a victim of also. I'm not the only one. But anyways, making the connections and it becoming community aware that somebody else is in here basically fraudulently pushing people around, corruptly, wrongfully, and ill-willly pushing people around. You wouldn't want to be a person from Colorado Springs with ground roots of living and having someone come in and adjust, just like Carl Newman in this church here in Columbus, Ohio, changing and altering your life, telling you how to live. This is what we see fit. This is what we're going to enforce. And that shit was literally busted communally. Now, I don't have paperwork for that. Everybody was concerned about the paperwork for myself and made a bitch whine and complaint. And the police did get involved. And they wasn't even trying. They did help out. They pit in and they'd go around the bus. You know, I'd take the bus service and never driven. And that was also a concerning factor later on through a psychologist of the county talking how the hell that happened. But anyways, so they would get on the city buses and pull people off the buses. Hey, you're getting off the bus. No different than the guy stalking me in New York City and stopping him. And he's like, hey, we don't have a connection. You don't know that I know him. Well, we seen you just following him fucking 16 blocks and around and around and around and around. So, it wouldn't matter if you knew him or not. But thank God that we have an association feeling that is went in deeper than, just a normal city stalking type of situation. There's just that little additive of, wait a minute, you know him. So that made it worse. Anyways, but yeah, Colorado Springs shit just didn't fan out because these guys are covering up their stuff. Do you think lawful work that they would try to cover up so much shit? If it was okay for me to have a rights to life for myself, do you think they wouldn't be so asinine or enforcive with the situation? My family owns your ass, my roots, my power. And at which point, some of it may be true because the founding people that founded the county, that founded the United States, but let's just go with the county or the city, backing how the city grew. And somebody walking in and walking all over it. No matter which way you go with that, it's the ideal of somebody, the stuff that was there and grown and built by the original people from there, someone walking in and just grabbing the shit out of it, spitting in their face and telling them they got no room to budge or else, and they was under threat. This was proven. Those people were on, and I always put it, CCTV. They was in the community meetings weekly, and whenever they could, all the board meetings, which was broadcasted on community TV. All kinds of shit anyways. That's the people that also helped me out in getting the cops involved. And I didn't even ask for it. They did it by themselves solely while trying to notice that I was already fighting the system and didn't get fucking nowhere with the corruption going on, that they had someone intervene for me. And on top, it's basically without trying to enforce it while somebody else is taking it out, oh, we'll get back at you. Revenge attacks, revenge assaults, like Carl Newman and his people. They have in-deep roots of being in and infiltrating systems. They intentionally train people. And let me get a second here to get some water. But they intentionally, and it was proven, they hired and recruited people 20 years ago. And I ran into it. To at least minimally get into psychology, criminology, just enough to get their foot in the door to say that they're educated or certified or had enough certification or education with it to apply the situation to somebody. Trying to utilize what I found as a part loophole in the system, depending on where you were at, that they have a certified person, which only takes up to 2 years on certain certifications, if even that, for criminology or psychological works, has a right in public to do a public service duty of intervening when they feel that there is an unsafe situation going on. They utilized it for corruption. How do I know that? Because when all this stuff with the other people trying to help me out, they put a mass neighborhood stop, busting affiliated gang members. You're not that stupid, is what they was told right in front of me. There's been warnings throughout the neighborhood for weeks. There's been warnings straight ass out, verbally, physically, everything else, to stay away, quit messing around, quit trying to irritate, agitate, harass of any sorts or anything else against him. And you would not quit. And this is just the gang member on this one. And on top, being pulled over. And the cop pulled over the peoples, and don't know who put you up to it, but you're connected to something that we're investigating, and you're also in here violating his rights. You have nothing to say because you're a gang member on paperwork, or you're an affiliate, and it's an automatic, I take you to jail. You should have listened. You had your warnings for well over a week to understand that this would happen if you created action, and you did. And they arrested the gang member right there out of his car for what? Affiliated gang harassing, basically. So, that was new to me. They picked him up. The base charge was affiliation with organizational community mishap. Participation with the criminal acts of that. Even if it was harassment, just a little slander, even if it was a violation to a point, it's still associated because he was on paper as an associated gang member. Let's flip over to another situation exactly in the same area, if not exactly at the same spot, roughly. And too bad I'll get map pictures of where exactly this is at. They pulled over a vehicle, a nice high-dollar vehicle back then, SUV-ish type of situation, a female, and told her straight up, she tried to throw out, well, I got a right to do this, stalking, harassment, vehicular verbal harassing. Also utilizing, hand signs without it being gangster. Hand signs, social signs, tactful, applying it to myself as I'm walking around. Like I don't have the rights of room to breathe, think, or walk for myself. I need to hold mommy, daddy's hand, or we're doing whatever we can to completely strip you of your rights mentally to think that you got a right to be free and independent. Anyways, they tried to bullshit, and that's where I picked up on it. I am certified, I got a right to do a public service duty situation, or first they started out that I'm certified and trying to make it out that they work psychology. They wasn't employed, first of all. Secondly, if they was, just like the cops told her. Secondly, even if you was, you need pay for work. It's still corruption, no matter how many fucking steps you try to take, excuse the lingo, of what they did. It was just stupid. The same thing they're trying to tell me, you don't know what you're doing. How does it feel to, not be able to take those steps or not get your way with those steps? Anyways, so we have one warning for you, and we know you're associated with a bunch of other group stuff. Because it wasn't just one individual. We want you to take it back to your group. Here and after anybody performing, trying to interfere with him, will go to jail. Investigation, I'm telling you there's investigations going on. And it is due to and approved by city. It's approved by other things of other people being harassed. And it's your people harassing. You made him basically, and I think they did utilize as a neighborhood target, and you're causing him life endangerment. And on top, knowingly that they was also contacting gang members in the neighborhood to get their thrills and kicks of an ability to walk around physically around somebody else, and then utilizing it of intimidation as being schizoid or being paranoid, or not being able or capacitated enough to stand grounds for myself to live after creating such a harsh situation. And they're doing it still to this day, but they won't do it as hard because I'll walk straight ass out after it either builds up or they try to attack it, like testing my competency, like trying to test me competent to go into court trial. You fucked our people, we're going to make the same test right back at you because you screwed us elsewhere. We didn't get our homosexual rights. We need this. We need it to be like this, and we'll leave you alone if you allow it to happen. Then we get a better life than you. So what? Just allow it to happen. A lot of force there, and that's another thing that also happened: forced compulsion situations, and all the rest of the stuff being involved. So it's not easy. Just a little bit of slander, harassment, in-depth, criminal acts type of shit. It went way off the deep end out there, and they tried to put a stop to it. So much corruption, so much stuff happened, I had to move away from there. But no matter what, let's get back into my situation of, damn, I'm in Columbus, Ohio, and the same fucking people in Colorado Springs 2000 into 2005, beginning of 2006, about era time frames, are sitting here in Ohio with me, right across the street, when they was out in Colorado Springs in that era, getting also jumped, and they was trying. Why would you try to fight? What is your reasoning? Running your own life, trying to prosper off of somebody else, like as if they're applying and they want to be paid for their certification and their community restraints of participating with what they want to organize as their own, basically, like agency affiliation or their own ideology affiliation of what is good in a clean community per se, while they're running drugs in the background anyhow. It's that type of situation, or whatever illegal fucking crimes, just like cops. And there is affiliated cops doing work like checkpoints and being paid off to do the checkpoints. Same thing with Thomas Stuckman and Gennaro Torres. I'm pretty damn sure they're involved with all the other stuff, much less drug use itself. I'm trying to party back in the hood, having that accessibility right, utilizing and building that accessibility that the hood's hard. While I'm non-affiliated, trying to affiliate, well, you're a criminal, so you get it this way anyways. You're no different than those people. With that being said, it's not just them. There's one other person named Ella Purdue, which is also another connectee from Colorado Springs. And remember, I ain't been in Colorado Springs since roughly about into 2006, 2007 era, something like that. It's been quite a bit some time. Same people, same affiliation as Carl Newman, same association, a little bit different part of the city. And that was another thing, a part of talking to this agent, this mental health or contributor, certified mental health professional, trying to intervene because they felt it would be a social matter and they had the right to do it through loopholes. Security Whitefield, Colorado Springs, and they was told off. We know that you're also representing, and I recollected the last name, and then I recollected the person next door to me that's been living there. And they are from Security Whitefield. That's a different city, even though we're in the same county. 1, 2. Why the hell are you 5-10 miles away from where you're, making complaints for something else from 10 miles away? And you came here. He's been in, we know it's an investigation going on, so add this up for me. We know he's been here for at least the last 2-3 weeks, ain't been down in that area for a long ass time, but you're up here giving him a problem like he's out and about. You better not come down around this area or else. Trying to influence decision making, trying to threaten me in public that I ain't allowed to be free. You're not allowed to walk outside. And the same freaking thing happening here in Columbus, Ohio, and being backed by, once again, corrupt law enforcement, corrupt community, and the participants that want to thrill themselves of being to overpower somebody else, to enforce against somebody else, ill-willed, illegally, to incapacitate and take control. And that's the way we want to run. Well, when I did go back, and I'm gonna bounce this one, Colorado Springs, it was by the people that was helping me out. Cops relayed to me they're investigating organized, basically, crime, and pointed the finger right back here, the location that it came from. They're understanding it came right here from Columbus, Ohio. And these other people, supposedly legalized law enforcement, working for a better system or whatever it be, connected, was associated, utilizing their power to influence what they wanted in the community, and that's the way they was getting it, by utilizing criminal thugging methods. Prove it. Well, I'm going to put it this way. There is enough proof for them to start an investigation. There is enough proof that the other people that was on and going to these city meetings represented it. And they also represented it in that benefit of, hey, we're original people from here. We built the grounds of how this place was supposed to go, grown, and somebody alterated that. We want that power back. The origination of what's supposed to have been Colorado Springs. The way our people developed it, not way somebody just walks in and wipes their feet on everybody and says, fuck it, we're going to alterate how things work. Big situation. To me, massive. It wasn't so massive, and it wasn't put in the newspapers or hit CNN, but it was a massive situation. And part of that may have also been blocked due to having public outcry and threat and intimidation revenge acts, because there is acts of unlawful organized crime involved, to be attacked revengefully, to put it into CNN News. Think about that. And maybe that's the reason why I didn't go that far in national news, to protect the people from associated criminality and other people understanding it, even if they ain't gang related, just nutcase people driving around trying to utilize loopholes, which you're still doing, moving to Colorado, intentionally given ill will situations, revengefully trying to act out or trying to challenge, creating a public disturbance massively, not just an instant of, an outcry, literally systematically attacking, which is found, systematical attacking the system to screw the system up, to create a bad situation for everybody else that has to be involved with living there. Anyways, wow. All of this stuff busting out. Same old story, repetitive. I've said it in other videos, but once again, hypnotic suggestions, they do utilize this for law enforcement. They do certified. How do I know you're law enforcement? No badges were produced. Even the county psychologist here, that I was probated, which they understood I was being systematically assaulted, said the same thing. They ain't showing police badges, even if they're working. Right there could be a corrupt enough form. With enough corruption, they lose their rights to investigate. We're in here understanding that they're supposedly, you're in a good neighborhood, no problems, and all of a sudden all this shit being said and having an investigation going on, there's no civil suit, there's no paperwork of it. That's a pretty harsh psychological situation that would be disturbing enough to say that you're not disturbed, and these officers, these people are in here applying affidavits to somebody else going on and on trying to attack you is the way we feel. Why, their participation would be under scrutiny and questioning. Why would they participate with that if they wanted a nice neighborhood? It makes sense of what you're explaining, that they're in here trying to thrill themselves, at which point should be corruptible enough for them to lose their case from being on the case itself, at the least, if not completely already jeopardized you having whatever case that they have or investigation rights. Anyhow, influencing whatever bubba. Hey buddy, the same asinine force of control. We are power. Don't try anything or else we'll screw your life up. Colorado situationalized, and like I said, I'm not the only one they applied that shit to. How would you like to reform your police department and your police ethnic works throughout the city back to an origination from somebody corruptly walking in and altering it? The values and the views and values of the people that had to live there, that grew up there, that foundationalized the city itself. Same thing here in Columbus, Ohio. And anyways, so that being said, I'm right off of West Town Street, Gift Street, Columbus, Ohio here. Not a specific address, but the area itself. I did other videos, West Side shooting, while somebody else is decrying, this is a nice neighborhood, you're the only piece of trash basically around. Huh, ain't that strange. On top, in that video, you can hear Gennaro Torres scolding me like I'm a 3-year-old child, and also restricting me. She didn't even know me, and she is a she-male. But anyways, didn't even know me back then, to pit in basically like a custodial, restrainative, controlling voice, guardianship, or no matter what it was, just listen to the voice. They had this damn kitty toy bat going where it whipples like a dog toy right after the shooting happened. Who the hell would be doing that? But anyways, they're always representing Menace to Society, the movie. But anyways, and that has a partake in the situation, but trying to play off scenes and acquire the ability. Once again, entertainment situations. While they're trying to show entertainment, they're covering up their tracks for legal investigations, works of what they want to work. Same thing applying, an entertainment business like Carl Newman's type of stuff across the street to the situation, and we got so much more power, authority, and representation. Fraudulently trying to fraud the system. Socially for themselves to socially gain value. Personal value, social community value, whatever it be. Enforce that they have that value, that power. But it's basically a value. Walking out as a business professional, and with 1 minute as a crack neighborhood, the next minute without defamating it myself, which, hey, you just can't get away from because it's been on national TV way back in the years of what it was and the downfall of that. Imagine that corrupted stuff traveling to Colorado Springs through a connection, and these guys are in here. We utilize that against you. You can't even prove it. Even if you did, we get slapped on the wrist, and that would be it. While you had to take a life-threatening endangerment, nothing would happen to us. And the gangsters and the people that are involved, so what? They may get criminally charged and go away, a couple of years. And then the revenge attack's going to happen to you anyhow, because we can show you the loopholes we're working. And this is Gennaro Torres' type of mentality. We can come after you no matter where you're at. And guess what's happened though? In a different place. Been to multitudes of different places and made complaints in the videos. And other complaints that's been on paperwork. Multitudes of different cities across the United States. Shit happening. I can't move without them screwing around with me. 2, trying to incapacitate me to the point I couldn't move due to me not being able to put up with another place to live, being completely what the psychologist said, social death. Brain death without being physically injured. Even if there is physical stuff going on, the point is the mental part, just that part. Not saying that it doesn't exist, that you haven't been physically injured, but just the mental part, the duress that they're causing, trying to cause psychological injury, pitting it into a situation, but just that could cause, they didn't cause per se say psychological injury, but basically talking about social death, meaning I don't have the ability to understand, to live, or the power of value to live in a community, like right here. Being socially disgraced, disrespected, and everything else. My character. And once that's disgraced, there's no power, no ability to live with quality. Much less the body and the mind taking a toll that there's nothing to live with. Literally, it will physically shut down. Physically get ill due to the factor and the nature of the other ongoing situations in the community caused by somebody trying to trying to assault that way, to intentionally cause that type and inflict that type of harm. Now, you're law enforcement, you're backing it, so what's your actions for, and why haven't you turned your actions in? Well, of course it's not smart. You're telling me I should be smart, turn myself in, which I've walked into sheriff's office, FBI agencies all over the place. They just don't have nothing for me to turn myself in for. So why don't you go do the same thing? Go turn yourself in and tell them what you've done wrong. Oh, well, of course you don't want to do that. One, the mind measure of, you know better. What's the matter? I don't have a right to tell you know better. You're employed by taxpayers' dollars type of situations. Well, I won't get into that. Now that becomes a federal FBI government kind of systematical play that they're enforcing back at me, while possibly not having that power, that they're only working with city power. And that's another thing that happened. Overly doing the powers that the people had that was involved with shit that didn't have those powers in the first place. They had a legal backing, but not those kind of powers. Anyways. But yeah, it's a question of making everybody understand what, pitting my situation and the situation of the complaint people that I have in position of why don't you go turn yourself in? Of course you're not going to, because that would do lifeful harm to you. You'd lose your value. You'd lose your right to basically live around the area without being condemned for the harassment that you've made. All the rest of stuff. It would partially, and this is partially destroy your life compared to you trying to destroy somebody's life. You partially getting your life destroyed, but then again, they also bank on that. And that's the one thing. Who gives a shit? So what? I get slapped on the wrist and slapped a little bit socially for all the creations that's happened to him. Yep. What you gonna do about it? Being called little bitch, you little girl, all kinds of shit, you little pussy. Yo, 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 you wanna play that? Yeah, I'm playing all that, Mr. Thomas Stuckman. I'm physically bigger than you. I'm tired of taking your shit. Didn't even know me 2 months, already jumped me. Psychologically luring and placing in all kinds of shit. I do believe has connections to Colorado Springs, living right next door to my older brother, Johnny. And with that being said, they was in cahoots, homosexually organized crime shit, different type of, all kinds of associated shit. What are you doing living right next door to me now? In Columbus, Ohio, when you was in Colorado Springs with the situation. FBI got involved in a situation out there with criminal acts of my own brother, me pressing charges against him for assault way back in 2003. FBI warned me that there was something going on, and there's this complete distrust no matter what with the situation, even if there's undercover FBI, as if there is corrupted, undercover, unlawful investigations or somebody not operating right, allowing the other shit to happen. Allowing other criminal acts, allowing a mass. We're talking about hard criminal acts, not just the drug dealing or whatnot type of situation around the area, but also basically, like I said, influencing for people to be assaulted, such as myself, targeted, crimes of rape, and just overlooking, laughing and giggling at it, or allowing it to happen while it's on their job patrol underneath their investigation range of whatever, some shit like that. And these guys have just let the shit slide or not acknowledged, and it's being understood intentionally did it. But they'd have to build the evidence to bust these people. Anyways, so a lot of information from that. Now, when I'm being advised in the back of a car by FBI and all the rest, don't you think? And we know how that works. That's corrupt too. Hey, I'm overhearing somebody trying to ridicule that, so I'm going to put this out to them. But just go turn yourself in. Just go do it. Why won't, hey, just go do it. Anyways, they love doing that. Eavesdropping, wiretapping, multitudes of people that are on my side, or at least on the side of something's happening and that's what's happening. It's mentioned that straight out here in public. Columbus, Ohio, I've had people driving by tell me there's radio frequencies fucking interfering with my house, if not the radio frequencies being picked up of eavesdropping devices again. Again, I found eavesdropping devices plenty of times elsewhere, but hey, legalized. If it's not my house, these people have the right to place cameras in living rooms, microcams even in the walls, trying to play that game. So I went down with that. Some of that was illegitimate, but with that being said, they also had my bedrooms tapped, but I didn't find out till it was way too late. Back then, I also didn't completely tell the police. I was stuck in a situation where I couldn't because of feeling of revenge attacks and social life death situations. But yeah, utilizing it for their own intellect. We know what you do daily. Now let's get away from that and all kinds of other electronic devices lawfully trying to be 1 minute lawfully used, next minute we're covering up. How are you going to prove the unlawful acts while we have the right to do it anyways? Type of intimidation, which can happen, like I said, has been proven and has happened. With that being said, this bunch of shit going on. Starting to space out a little bit, starting to get drawn out, so I'm going to end this video. Once again, the point of the video was due to hypnotic forensic type of testing suggestion and somebody relaying they're trying to see if I can't be held competent after frying my brains out with an implant, which I didn't talk about throughout the whole video. of the implant being drilled in the forehead, wires ran through my body, and me being completely electrically shocked to be compliant. When, how can you not go over top the past cases or past situations of compliance involvement with law enforcement and myself, that I'm not the one being difficult? There's a massive, bigger situation going on, and you're trying to utilize me as the scapegoat, as if you're trying to allow the people that are a part of the situation that's under investigation to be set free due to my acts. Like you're a lawyer defender on the inside of an agency trying to get somebody else off with somebody else having some type of mental illness. And hey, that alleviates and resuscitates these other people to have a life at the moment to get away with the crimes that they're committing. While trying to make me that I'm trying to flee crimes, I'm the mental health nut, and all the rest of shit, calling names and everything else. Bullshit. It being wrapped up, I'll put it together a little bit better later. But it was already basically wrapped up that way in Arizona, Colorado Springs, Colorado, some of New York City, some of Florida when I was down there. Mass actions happening, mass law enforcement taking on law enforcement, mass law enforcement taking on and recognizing the problem of stalking. I'm there, somebody's there bothering me in mass groups and amounts. Just like one major incident, checking out somebody screaming 6 blocks away at me, fucking trying to make me feel that I'm hearing voices or threatening and intimidating, making that I'm paranoid, schizoid or whatever, which is Carl Newman's type of shit that also, he's predominant on that. Schizis. That's defamation, but anyways, trying that shit, the cops pulled the people over, and guess what, back then, that was 2004, 2005 situation. This is proof. The cop asked me for ID, which I didn't have to give it because I'm the victim. But he says, I just want to see it just for my eye blink real quickness. Just to see, what it is. You don't mind. I'm just asking, you don't have to show it to me. You won't mind. I said, no, not at all. I showed him. And he said, well, that's what I thought. They also have a Colorado ID. So this is a bigger situation than what is being, it's nothing, just a little bit of verbalation, let it brush off like Gennaro Torres and Thomas Stuckman trying to play. Same thing with Ella Purdue and Carl Newman. So what? It'll be brushed off. Some of the harassment is just light verbal harassment. So what? It ain't a hard thing to go. Most people wouldn't think it'd be so hard to go after federally or stalking or anything else. Nobody knows what's going on, so it'll be just brushed off. Well, it wasn't getting completely brushed off. And they just started attacking the system systematically. Anyhow, multitudes of people that they just didn't give a crap that they're going to do what they wanted to. And then if anything happened to them, revenge assault would happen with me. It was just a nasty ass situation, and the cops were intervening for myself. I'm not the one that made the full complaint to a point out there. They took it upon themselves to take recognition in the community of the crimes going on. Now it depends on how that works, because that could be an unlawful act. They don't have the right to access the situation that way. Somebody trying to defend themselves that the cops don't have the rights to work that police work without the right of complaint filed by the person, where they're the ones that have to initiate the situation without the cops picking up on it. So basically putting them in their place, trying to inform the cops that they can, just like what I was saying corruptly before, they'll sit there and watch what goes on and not do nothing because they supposedly don't have a right to, and that was a lie. It's a different situation that was in Florida. These guys were trying to study as fast as they could how to take on the Florida system there. And everybody understood it. Trying to challenge the system, learning the new codes, learning the new situation, the life-living situation, and trying as quick as they could. We're talking about weeks, not months. We're talking about days and weeks of trying to, it seems like stuffing their mind full of whatever they could to challenge me with, of ability to live free and independently. And basically, throwing out what they viewed and what they authorized, and maybe even the backing of their certification from another state, how they learned how the system works, or what they was taught, how even it's the United States, they wasn't up on the complete specific par in that city, and which has also happened across the rest of the United States with the rest of the stalking. But let's say where I started settling down or sticking around for a while, that they's challenging out there and intentionally walking in and then making it out they know what they're talking about. They're certified, they're law enforcement, or they know what they're talking about, and not even 5 minutes prior also on their selves. Because I've done the same. I had to look into it to know that it was wrong, or look into it to make myself corrected. And utilizing that, well, you did okay, cool. Not even having the excuse in the first place until I mentioned, oh, well, yeah, me too, the same thing. That I was just looking into it to see if I couldn't live here. Kind of strange that you're from Colorado, or you're associated with the people that's messing with me. All of a sudden, you want to live in the same place that I'm either moving to or I'm settling down in for a little bit. But anyhow, also, that you didn't understand that prior. You're in there stuffing 5 minutes before. You didn't know what you was going to say 5 minutes after. You've already pre-planned something to do. You're looking into shit maliciously, intently, with the intent to challenge, to restrict or restrain somebody from being able to be independent, freely with what they're doing, to live their own life, to be able to try to live independently for themselves. Anyhow, this video is going to end itself here in like 4 minutes, so I'm just going to say I'm not trying to make a big production out of it. Target of unlawfulacts.com, and that's ACTS at the end.com. Target of unlawfulacts.com. I'm putting up some information there. It's not just my videos. There's actually stalking things of sheriff's department, public prosecutors, prosecutors that understood the loopholes that were being violated and trying to get some stability of how to do help for identifying stalking and to get it to quit. Not even just, they do talk about other stalking besides the domestic violent type of way I'll put it. Stalking, I guess, is what it is. Whereas even a lot of it though is spousal or certain things, but a little bit of, I do believe, talked about a little bit of gang stalking and United States stalking across the United States, where you got one city it's illegal, say stalking, and this other person's dealing with it, and the person followed them to another state or city and given them the same problem, and they may even had criminal charges in the other city and it not sticking from city to city, that this person stalked them back here in Illinois, but now they're in Columbus, Ohio, and Columbus, Ohio doesn't have a stalking law, or they do, just don't know how to specifically. And this ain't 100% the situation, it's just a replicated ideal, what they're talking about, and Ohio not representing the stalking orders against the person stalking, so that person's in complete intimidated fear of another person that was criminally charged elsewhere with stalking or warned about stalking and violating space, while they're violating space and belittling it, how the powerlessness of how do you feel because you can't do nothing to me now. The same influence that I'm under right now, which is not paranoia, which they're trying to write off, will get mental health to attack you. And there still is an attempt, there's still the corrupted people there that will try and have tried and ill-willly tried the situation, and still are, even agencies, full-blown agencies, trying to get representation and value for themselves, representing the wrong shit. We're going to utilize you as our case, and whatever problems come out of it, if you ain't defending yourself, and you better, that we're just going to utilize you to stand on for our value type of situation. Step on you to make ourselves look good. But, the situation with that, I kind of carried on that and rambled on. Like I said, I'm getting thirsty. The video is going to end itself, and I rambled on for almost an hour now. But yeah, that situation of getting back into it, of a system not cooperating with another system, without it being systematical assault and intent. Could you imagine systematical assault being where a system works cooperatively with another system? That's how it works when they don't have a right to. So it depends on how you understand and what's going on. But in the situation of someone truly being stalked and having paperwork and proof, and another place being also probably influenced with the corruption that it already has, of, you don't have to represent this, you don't have no laws for it yet. If they brought the paperwork to you, would you be able to represent it? And even though they should have, that's another thing that's being held liable, and don't want to hurt the city, but you need to be held responsible and liable for not enforcing your own fucking laws the right way. There is laws, you just don't understand how they work, and that's not my fault, that's your fault. Anyway, this video is going to end itself, so peace, have fun, targetofunlawfulacts.com. Just a little bit of different stuff here, not much yet.